One creature of the sea that's been given a very bad rap lately are the stingrays. In the water, they're the most beautiful, graceful creatures to watch swimming along gently. And yet, as we now know, that sharp barb on their tail can be lethal.
The untimely death of the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, shows how dangerous the barb tail can be, particularly when it penetrates the chest. In Australia, there have only ever been 5 other recorded fatalities from stingrays. Yet many other people have been envenomated, mostly from accidentally standing on them in shallow water. It's well below the waves that you're likely to encounter a stingray. They're bottom dwellers, with most stings occurring when people accidentally step on them, as marine biologist Grant Willis explains.
Rays are all quite closely related to the sharks. They're called elasmobranchs, so rather than having a bony skeleton, they've got cartilage. The easiest way for the average person going for a snorkel to tell the difference between a shark and a ray, everyone knows, the classic shape of a shark. But the best way to tell is sharks have their gills on the side of their head and rays have their gills underneath their body. This is an estuary ray, so they're really common in the estuaries where the river meets the sea, so shallow waters, mud flats and things. They've got that big long whip-like tail. Halfway along that tail they've got their stinging barb, and that's what they use to defend themselves. That size ray, that's the size of the barb that it would have. Pretty tough material, lots of barbs on it. These things go in well, and then when they come out, it's when they do a lot of the damage.
One expert who's treated plenty of stingray wounds is Dr. Carl Edmonds.
I've been a diving physician now for some 40-odd years. Because of that, I end up seeing a lot of marine animal injuries from non-divers as well.
John Pearce has felt the full pain of a stingray barb.
We were just coming in from a big yacht, finished lunch. We went back out to the dinghy to get onto the yacht, and I was just walking in the water up to about my knees, and I was about 1 foot away from the dinghy, and then I trod on a stingray.
So when you tread on the ray, it's an automatic reflex. The tail comes up and the barb goes out and goes forward, and therefore it tends to penetrate the ankle.
I lifted my foot up. It was just gushing out with blood everywhere, like an artery had been severed or something like that. It was that bad.
The barb goes into the tissue and sends out a venom, which is extremely painful. So that initially the symptoms are due to the venom or the toxin in the stingray spine.
It was like somebody getting a pen and ramming it into your foot. That's what it felt like. The pain was just immense.
For the first day or so, that's your problem. It's the venom. That's what's going to do all the damage, and that can actually kill you.
Well, we did all the wrong things, of course. You see blood and things, you try to stop it with ice.
The wound is extremely painful. It starts getting swollen, very hard to touch, to move. And so the first thing to do really is to put the wound into fairly hot water, about 45 degrees centigrade.
Let all the toxins come out. In fact, I've put all the toxins back into my system, and I started to shiver a bit and things like that. And I had a glass of wine to try and get over everything. I did ring my sister that night when it happened. She said go straight to hospital, but I didn't listen to her.
Commonly, there's a foreign body effect because a little bit of the stingray's spine or the skin over the spine has been left in the wound. And that's a foreign body effect, so that tends to start showing up a week or 2 after the injury.
I went to a medical clinic, and then they had a look at it. By that time it was numb and I could feel around in the area. It was like a little V that it had put onto my foot.
The wound may look as though it's closed over, and then it starts breaking open again.
I was given some antibiotics. That was okay for about a week. The day after I stopped taking the antibiotics, it got worse, so I went back to another doctor and told him what had happened. He gave me more antibiotics.
They're usually treated by the general practitioners, most of whom have had no training in treatment.
I went to see another doctor and just more antibiotics, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
There'll be a lot of dead tissue under that because the venom destroys tissue. So that's all got to be removed.
Then I went to Fiji and saw a Fijian doctor, and he suggested that I get the area debribed. Debribing is like cutting the whole thing out, replacing it with your own skin, a skin graft.
And once you've removed that, there is unlikely to be any further long-term effects. But if you don't debride that or don't clean it, then you could be in big trouble.
But because I had the infections, the Staphylococcus and the Mycobacterium marinum, the first skin graft that they took didn't take, so I had to have a second operation, so I was in hospital in total for 20 days.
When you think of all the stingrays around our coastline, you get an awful lot of stings. In Australia, the deaths are essentially where the barb has actually penetrated the cavities, like the heart cavity or the lung cavity or the abdominal cavity.
And one of the few recorded deaths that I've ever heard of was a kid on a boat. They pulled one of those big guys up and the poor little kid was in the way and it copped the spine right through his chest.
They didn't realise that the ray had gone in as far as it had. The spine had gone in, and then about 4 or 5 days later, when the wound necrosed, it just, gets, the skin dies. He hemorrhaged and died that way.
So this is a classic area here, like where a stingray would have been. You can make out the outline here, in the tail section there. Once the tide goes out, it would have taken off. There's a distinctive shape though. There's another one just here. They're all over the place.
I only know of 5 deaths in Australia, but, how does one, no one records these things, so there could be any number.
Wading in water like this or walking through water like this is not too bad, but I wouldn't be going out there any further with past my knees, no way in the world.
Lots of different types of stingrays in Australia. This big guy here is a smooth ray. That's the biggest stingray we've got in Australian waters. These things can get up to 350 kilos. That's a pretty massive animal. 2 and a bit metres across the wingspan and over 4 metres long from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail. You can imagine messing with this guy. He's got the power and the size, and they do have the sting on the tail, and they are very capable of defending themselves if need be.
They are absolutely not aggressive animals. They'll only sting you if you stand on them. Well, you don't want to be stood on. You wouldn't like that either.